If you look out in the sky, is a firework display like you see on the 4th of July, which is a great occasion for celebration.
All right. So what's up, everyone? My name is Thomas Sakowitz here with Innerversal Solutions, and today I have Luis Diaz here. We're going to be talking about some adept knowledge and wisdom that's gained along the path of the initiate as they're walking various paths, including shamanism, inner alchemy, yoga, various other esoteric systems. And basically the idea that we wanted to go with here today is to take someone or a couple of people that have really walked along this path and what they've experienced, practical things that they've gained that can help others who are walking these paths or maybe thinking about getting into some of these traditions. And the idea here is I'm going to be doing, or we're going to be doing a few of these different episodes with various people. And I wanted to kick this first one off with Luis when he hit me up not too long ago saying that he has a lot of things that he feels strongly about getting out there, some knowledge that he wants to share, and that kind of sparked some other ideas. And there were a few other people kind of hinting at me, a lot of good signs from the universe to basically move forward with something like this. It's my honor and pleasure to have Luis here with us today. So you can say hello, Luis.
Hello. Hey, everyone. It's good to be here. Yeah, man, it's always good to get on the pipe and share our experiences and our discoveries and all our great adventures that we have in this wonderful world. So
yeah,
looking forward to it. Yeah.
Awesome. It's excellent. And just to give people a little bit of background too, I wanted to say, Luis and I, you and I have known each other for, I think, around 5 or 6 years now. I think we met sometime in 2012, I believe. I think it was like early mid 2012. We connected through the Resistance platform. I was kind of, I wouldn't say I was fresh on the path, because I feel like I've kind of been on the path since a really young age, but I was kind of just fresh starting to live the path, like really stepping into incorporating a lot of these practices and just really like actually starting to live it. And it was really nice to have you as a little bit of a guide through different things. You were the first one to finally help connect me into plant medicine ceremonies and stuff like that. So definitely really an honor to have you as first interview guest in a series like this. So that being said, I think some of the first thing I wanted to talk about is I just want you to give a little bit of background about yourself and, how you kind of got into this world.
Okay. Well, I was born in Colombia, Cali, Colombia. Mainly all my family is from Colombia. I got to the United States at 8 years old and pretty much got raised here. Mm-hmm. And so yeah, like I think since a very young age, I've always been very in tune to the realms of the spirit via dreaming, being able to talk to spirits and all of that. And so, just like everyone else, lived my life and kind of put that side away for some time. And the rest became natural, became an everyday thing. But I did had levels of waves of awakening. Some came through accidents, some came through hardships, and some came through pain, just some kind of injury or something. Usually, for me, it's been that tragic moments usually give me a big leap into knowing more of the unknown, or getting in touch with the other world.
Mm-hmm.
And so that made me question a lot about life, and so began my search with reading a lot of literature, especially a lot of occult literature and ESP and phenomena as ghosts, spirits, and etc. My mom was always really versed in things of metaphysics, and so I always learned those kind of things from my mother, and she inspired my ambition to know more. So, and that's how a lot of this began for me. Yeah.
Nice. So yeah, a little bit similar to myself in that it was kind of like it seemed to be starting at a younger age. You were kind of already feeling a lot of these different things and had it lurking around somewhere in the field. So the next thing I guess I want to get into a little bit is I was thinking this morning, like how I really wanted to get into this with you, and what I was thinking about was the fact of kind of when we met, looking at that time period, like going on the resistance platform, and if we were to look back now, or you were to look back now, or maybe even a little bit sooner than that for yourself, or maybe even only a couple years ago, if you were to look back at the Luis then, with the experience that you've gained and kind of some of the things that have happened to you, what are some of the things that you would want to tell yourself then, or some things that you would want to impart, some wisdom that you would want to share with that self of yours, knowing what you do now and kind of walking things the way that you have.
Like an advice, right? Like what would be a good advice type of thing?
Yeah. If someone is out there, like let's put, for example, like a viewer that might be out there right now, and they're like starting to really get in these different worlds and these different paths of esoteric wisdom, and maybe shamanism, maybe alchemy of different kinds, and they're feeling a little bit confused and maybe want some clarity on how to move forward, and how they can trust themselves, and where to be looking on the path.
Okay, 1 second. Okay. Yeah. So the way that I would advise, or what I would think is, one thing is to take it easy. Myself, I was kind of young and very ambitious in many things, so it's very important to take like one process at a time, not mixing or crossing different medicines. And this term is modalities. It's good to take one modality at a time, as opposed to trying to chew at every little thing that's coming at you. It creates a lot of confusion, and it's more challenge. But at the same time, I big up a lot of people that start like that, because at the same time it makes you very strong. It gives you a lot of avenues, versatility, and so that's also good, and it's useful in the past. It builds a jack of all trades. The challenge what I find with these things is that everything needs to be well attended to, like a mother does. A mother, cares for every little detail. It's very patient and very attentive to all the needs of its creation. And I think that we forget that in our quest of being excited and wanting to know so much. so that we miss so many details, and I think that that's why we tend to complicate our life as we move forward. And then later on we come to this point that we want to make our life more practical, and it was those little details that would have made our life more practical if we would have just taken more time. And so I think that's a very important thing, to take your time. There is no rush, though sometimes, the galactic cycles give us an impression that like we're running out of time and that we have to meet certain things by a certain deadline. But everything is how it is. Everything is actually always in divine time, and could give us the time to take things a little bit more at ease, with a good pace for ourselves. We don't have to go too slow. We don't have to rush too much, but in the right state. But again, I mean, it takes time to know that. So it's also okay if you rush it, because you wouldn't have to learn this. But if people can avoid by learning from others, one thing is to learn is to take your time and to take one modality at a time. That's just my take on that.
And in terms of like those modalities, how would you say, through the years you have found a way of kind of like being able to tune in of what's the right, how do we choose the modality, right? It's like, like for myself at least, I'm noticing more and more that there tends to be a lot of like signs and signals, like in these weird kind of very subtle little ways. Would you say that's similar for you?
In a sense, I find that for some people, they lead towards the alchemy or the chemistry, and then they take off from there. Maybe their mind works more of a scientific level, and maybe they work with a lot of different plants and medicinals, but they don't have no understanding of shamanism, and they gravitate to like alchemy and books of that sort and philosophers, and in that sense, it's kind of like a buffer between the middle path and a lot of the mind, what the mind creates, But it's funny because alchemy requires a lot of practicality and a lot of physical things to do with it. It's not just metaphysical and it's not just mental. So it buffers, and a kind of alchemy or what scientists are into. It's not that far from what like a medicine person is into, but it does vary because, like I said, I find that those modalities tend to take one more into the philosophy of things as opposed to the magic or the practicality. Though they have some practicality, I think it takes them a lot the intellect or the philosophy. And what I like about that, if you gravitate to, say, or to a science kind of thing, is go with that. There's always a door that leads to the next thing, and it's always best to be comfortable in what it is that you like. You shouldn't change too much of yourself and to try to fit the quote unquote right role for spirituality. I think you should just roll with much of a hot mess that you may be at that moment, and just roll with it. And I think it's important to learn to accept yourself at that given moment, even if you still don't know what that means and what that's going to entail with each experience that's going to come knocking and show you that to love yourself,
Right, like accept where you are with all of this stuff, be checking in and like, even though you may be wanting to like, rip and open a portal in a space-time or something like that, you're just now getting into cleansing the body and meditating and these sorts of things, and just really being honest with ourselves and where we're actually at, and how far we are along the path.
I feel like teachers and people we look up to, or modalities or old ancient cultures that have taught certain ways, and when we come from a different kind of way, we kind of tend to drop our lives because something in our minds or within what we're perceiving, it feels that our life is not good enough for a right path, or that maybe the Buddhist path is best because they know and it's so ancient and so many people are involved in it. But that's not true, because I've seen people that don't know nothing of metaphysical stuff or occult stuff, and they're practically a very practical human being, but are very in tune with a lot of deepness about life, but have no verbal communication or nor articulate things like how a priest would do, or like a monk would do, or like an adept teacher would do. And then you would say, okay, so these people are more spiritual than, let's say, my uncle that has had a rough life. I don't think so. Nowadays, I really don't. I don't think it. Reading a lot of books and doing a lot of magic or taking tons of medicine is going to make you more spiritual than the next person. What I do feel is just it opens a wave of experiences that allow energy to move, and that's what's going to bring about your awareness. And as your awareness sharpens, you will learn the do's and don'ts about life, to yourself, unique to you. And then you can actually comprehend what these teachers are saying or these books are saying a lot easier, but it takes practicality of applying the world you come from in all your essences, whether that comes with faults or not. I think it's very essential to keep that there in your life and not throw it away, like it's useless. It's actually you will come back to it. Even if you throw it away, you actually would have to come back to that practicality life. You're going to have to face your shadows. You're going to have to face your old friends and your old family and your old ways and be okay with it. Let's say you're an alcoholic and you fought that, but now you're going to shun away every alcohol that you come across. No, it should be, you should get to a level where I call it 13th step, that you should be able to sit down at some point and maybe not drink, but be among people that are drinking, and then maybe someday take a drink and see how powerful you've become. You're not gonna let this substance just take over you. So these things come in waves, and I think it's important for people starting, opening doors and rabbit holes, to not just throw their life completely away, because like I said, even if you do, you will have to come back to it eventually at some part in the future in your path.
Interesting. Yeah, I definitely resonate with all that. I find a lot lately that it's like these shadows and these aspects of ourselves and places that we come from, it's like we throw them out, but it actually ends up being our greatest source of power. Even, a lot of it, it's like it's like the fertilizer that grows the seed or the tree,
Definitely.
Yeah, I getting into a little bit of the medicine stuff that you were talking about there, like taking tons and tons of medicine or whatever. I know one of the things we've been noticing, and we've had some chats about in the past couple of years between you and me, is kind of a little bit of the chaos that's kind of starting to ensue in that realm. Like the more and more it seems to get a little bit popular, we're seeing like all these like crazy posts of people like wiling out. Like, you remember there was that one we talked about not too long ago. I'm not going to mention any names or anything, but it was like that guy just like going nuts about, send all these attacks. He was asking for people to like send their attacks on him and stuff like that. Like, I'm just like, so, looking at those types of things that we're seeing come up more and more, like, what do you think is some advice that can be given to people like wanting to step into the realms of exploring shamanism or working with these plant teachers, but maybe they're really scared in the sense because they see all this stuff and like it's honestly it can be pretty easy to like to follow someone on one of these paths and kind of end up in like a pretty dark direction. And I don't mean like that in the sense of, we all have shadow work to do, of course, but I mean like we don't want to walk down a path and have someone there clubbing us over the head after feeding us some angel's trumpet or something like that. And so like some advice for people maybe looking to connect with these paths, but not really sure knowing who and what to trust and like how to get into this world. Like, what was some advice you would have for those people?
Yeah, I would like to first say that the medicine is for everybody, and anybody. But the path of the medicine is not for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And this is I think this is where a lot of people get enchanted. They come into the medicine and they get enchanted. We're all enchanted. I mean, it's the most beautiful and vivid experience that one can have with oneself and with the all, whatever we call the all, right? Universe, God, Creator. But this enchantment can go two ways, It can completely put a lot of imprints on people's thoughts about who they are and what they are and what they should do from there on of this encounter with the medicine. A lot of people, it's a very popular pattern for people to become a shaman overnight because they saw a vision where they should be behind the altar, or in one life they were, and this medicine, I don't know, they find a connection with it, and now they're like, oh, I've done this before, and this is what I'm gonna do with my life. I mean, it happened to me. But this is the part, I guess, it's part of the initiation, it's part of the path somehow. But I would advise people to take it very easy with those kind of thoughts and how much you feed into these thoughts, because you will be in for a surprise, as you get closer to what that really is, because like you can drink medicine all you want for many years, but if either the divine doesn't open the door for you, or if you don't come across someone that really knows these ways and can really show you a little bit of what your ambition and ego wants to see, then you're really not going to understand. And sometimes we get what we want, and necessarily what we asked for is not exactly what we wanted. And it's good sometimes. Sometimes you need that tough teaching to kind of slow the roll, slow you down with the way you're carrying yourself about with these ways, because this is very alive. The fire is very alive. The plants very alive, and the beings that are guardians to these doors, they're very alive. This is not a joke. It's not your regular hippie festival. And a lot of people take shamanism like another party drug. And they tend to come with this attitude. More as it gets popular, and especially as these retreat centers are being mixed with festivals like Burning Man and the things that are going on over there, and festivals like this, you really always realize the disrespect that we all do to one another and to the mystery, especially to these sacred beings, right? Spirit beings that come through these substances. And not only that, but you put yourself in danger. You put yourself to being more plagued by energies that they're not helping you. You really want to align yourself with energies that there's an equal exchange, and they're actually helping your process, as opposed to like leeching on your energy like some vampiric parasite. And it tends to happen with this immature way of approaching substances, and this party life idea that came like in the 60s, with that wave, and now it's repeating again with the new age movement. There's a lot of that, and then there's a lot of the overnight shamanism, a guy or gal becoming a shaman overnight and then going out into their parts of their worlds and bringing medicine and never really truly being skilled for it, And these are the dangers, and sometimes I ask myself, why is this happening? Why does the medicine allow this? And as far as I know, there's only so much that I can see, and so there's certain things that I have no idea you know, why the mystery allows it. But me just using my own logic, common sense, I would say that it all has a purpose. Sometimes we need a little bit of the headaches and harm and to occur to bring light to things, right? Sometimes some of us have to be the guinea pigs to bring about not so pleasant experiences so that the collective can learn from it. And then I can see that, but we have to be really really careful how we're exposing not only ourselves but these tribes, these true guardians that have given their life. Relatives have died for this. For many years, this was prohibited, and it was known to be very evil in the eyes of some leaders. Some people that ushered the new religions in the world, and we had to hide these medicines inside traditions like Christianity, just so that we can stay afloat and we can stay alive, because we knew that the time of the awakening will come. And so, for example, you have people in altars like, treating the fire with gloves, and they'll put like a huge cross staff in the middle of the altar, because it's that moment where, like, the peyote had to be to kept alive, the tradition to kept alive. So we went into things like Christianity and Catholicism, bringing in the traditions so that we could keep them out and hide them, kind of, And certain songs were hidden there, names were changed, certain deities they just changed the name, and they took on the knowledge, and then they created these religions that pretty much are all over the world now. But these religions are new compared to the ancient traditions. So a lot of this, we have to be really respectful, because we've altered nations' lives because of the mixing, and the mishandling of that mixture. And here we are again, repeating it again, So I don't know, Sometimes I'm concerned. Sometimes I'm just like, it is gonna be what it is. All we can do is align ourselves with truth, truth, and that is to the heart. You will know someone that carries themselves well by the way they carry themselves, how they carry themselves with their family, with the culture, with their community, with their loved ones, their lover. So these are things that on the surface, we're enchanted and mesmerized by art we don't see at the moment. And as we get closer to someone, we start to see these things. We shouldn't judge, though, but we should gauge on where we put in our energy. There's a huge responsibility who's behind the altar, and it's a huge responsibility of who we're mixing with, because any circle you're in, or whether it's a meditation, whether there's something online, it's kind of like going to bed with the person. So it's like, who are you going to sleep with, when you're gathering in these rituals, and so you go learn, Sometimes it takes to make mistakes to learn. I'm a person that walks like that. That's why I can talk about a lot of different things, because I've seen it, I've been there, I've made the mistakes, I've rushed into things. And so my place, I feel, in service to this art form and this culture, this way of life, is to bring clarity, bring a little bit of clarity on how things should be conducted, in my understanding, in the way that my elders have showed me, all the people that I relate with that have showed me many ways to walk this path. And one for sure is that to respect everything, One is for sure is to honor it all. Everything is welcome, but we must be firm and really stern, and keeping certain protocols at bay, keep them really there, and carry ourselves very strongly, not slouching in the night, because then the people are watching, then, they start to pick up this idea like it's a party. It's not a party. It's better, we're there to pray, and we gotta take certain times things very seriously. But of course, we don't want to be like the poop of the party, and like, it's time to laugh and go let loose, And so it's good, you as you live and you learn, you also mold, your teachings. I've also seen people pick up ancient traditions, and then as they get older, they gotta be flexible, especially roadmen that have to deal with so much of the populace, and they gotta go to different parts of the world. Um, Not everybody's ready to run a ceremony a lo mero mero, pure road, all like, super strict protocol, So sometimes it's good to bring out like a guitar and ease it up and let people walk around. But I don't want people to get confused if they come around a ceremony like that, like the elders are not aware of this. The elders, they're all watching. There's many elders have crossed over, and there's a lot of traditions are paying attention to what's going on. The reason that I think that a lot is being allowed is because some way, somehow, in a very twisted way, is bringing us together.
Mm. Yeah.
And so we're also have to, even a strict teacher has to be lenient to bend a little bit, But the people in between, the bridgers, right? The bridges, the people that have gotten the schooling, have gotten the party, and have gotten a lot of in between in the matrix, and they have to deal with this within their life. Like you gotta be ready, because this weekend you're gonna have some ceremonies, but then you're out at work, and then you also get invited to a party. And then the reason these bridge builders, right? It could be one of myself. We have to know how to conduct ourselves, and always, because a lot is passing through us, right? A lot is like we'll go to the jungle and sit with the elders, and we learn that strict protocol. But then we can go to another place and it's not that strict, and we have to have that flexibility, but at the same time have that presence to be able to show it how it is, and really guide people with respect and how to honor these things. Sometimes I've gotten pissed, the way that certain people carry themselves in ceremonies, because they're not paying attention. But then I have to also be compassionate and kind, that the reason they're not paying attention is because look at their life, Like they're not, for example, the water comes and they're still not seeing the magnitude and presence of what water is. They still haven't gotten the point. And so we all have to be very compassionate and lenient to these things. And I'll stop there before I keep on a rant on different direction. But
no, that was great. Just really quick, I noticed what's the kind of the clicking noise in the background, or like is it dishes or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're almost done.
Nice.
It's just patient. They're almost done here.
Yeah, house. No worries. We all got stuff going on.
Yeah.
All right, so the next thing I wanted to we had talked earlier about wanting to touch on a little bit is, as we've kind of been through a really similar, like our initiations that we've been through, like a lot of them, it's almost like scary similar, with like meeting on the resistance, and like going through certain experiences with like the same teachers, and then we've seen others that are going through, they're like following behind us and going through these similar steps in the path, because the initiations have similar things that people have to go through. And that being said, we've witnessed there's this kind of pattern that happens where people tend to like really look up to certain spiritual teachers in different lineages, and then maybe they get to know them on a more personal basis, and then things kind of like fall apart. They lose all of their faith and their trust in someone, basically because they see that maybe they're still human. I wanted you to just touch on that a little bit, like what you've kind of learned about learning from others and looking up to guides and different mentors on the path and things like that.
I think a lot of that comes from expectations and from judgments of what it is to be perfect. And like, is a drug addict any less perfect than someone that's so has their life really well and well put? Not really, you know. Like this Matrix paints perfection is like having financial gain, supporting your family. Let's just keep it standard, right? Like a man that takes care of his family, has a good, decent job, is good to people. You get me? Somewhat similar to the American dream, and that's like a real good individual. But then you go see these individuals, they've sacrificed their lives for others, for their family, but where was there? Where was their dream? Where was their happiness? But because they had to go into Wall Street or they had to become a lawyer, and then along the way, you know, society, their parents told them that that's the best way to get by in life, and but then midway they're unhappy. So so what happens there? You know, there's these expectations, and then we fall short. You know, we fall short with these expectations. Same thing happens to spirituality because we don't know how to forgive ourselves. We latch on to the best next thing, and sometimes it's your teacher. And so we put these teachers on a pedestal because we're ashamed of ourselves internally and subconsciously. Most of this is going on in the subconscious. And so we see them as like more perfect, you know, or better. And that's why we're here, there to listen and to be perfect and better like them. But then, as like I said, this is the enchantment, because you see everybody's medicine. So first time you encounter medicine or anyone, then you get this enchantment, and then there's this delusional expectations about, you know, whatever it is we think, and then the reality starts to come that they're also human beings, and he probably yelled at his wife, and you're like, why does he talk to his wife like that, you know? And then it's like, now he's not perfect, you know? Now he falls down from his throne, from within your mind, and then not only that, but then you start ridiculing them, you know? You start to judge them. Why is all of this going on? It's because you're so wounded, you know? There's many layers to your wounds. There are many layers to your Chiron, you know, and how Chiron comes around and squares your houses, you know, conjuncts your planets. All of these things, they have massive effect. You get me? And this brings about karmic relationships, you know. These karmic relationships are here to not only teach you, but to accelerate you, especially your teacher. Because a lot of the teachers, they're in a very high level of being a student. You know, actually, when you truly start to learn, is when you start to teach. So if you're here guiding people, or let's just say expressing to them what you think, it's that, you know. It's a vulnerable stage for everyone, you know, much as for the teacher as much as for the student. And I think it's very important to just take things at face value and not have too much expectation. But it's tricky because as much as you tell people not to have expectations, they're gonna have plenty. Because to them, their whole new thing is this pursuit of spirituality, and they want to be free, and they want to feel good, they want to be okay, and so they latch on to whatever their teacher says and what they're teaching. What I think it's important sometimes for people like that is that they take in their own medicine, you know. Within the time, as time progresses, they will come into more understanding, and they're going to come into teaching, and there are people going to be ridiculing them, you know, and then they're going to get humbled, you know. They're going to get humbled. There's going to be many phases of life that's going to humble them. And then you start to realize that none of that shit that you thought was important, or whatever was going on in your mind, sometimes we put too much stories, you know. We fantasize too much in our mind about what things are, and we forget our humanity. And what I like about challenging moments in when the portal is open, right, with the medicine and all, because the medicine brings you back really, your perspective really close to what's important. Usually it's right what you have right in front of you. Usually it's your family, your relationship with yourself, your relationship with your spouse, with your kids, with your community, the way that you're conducting yourself that moment in that night, you know. So all of these perspectives are showing you exactly where you're at in life, and this is going to really, if you're really closely paying attention, you're not too aloof in your mind about or the visions that you're seeing. See, because a lot of people want to see visions, but they'll see that after you see so many visions, the visions are only clouding your mind. They're not really giving you perspective. When the visions calm down, the real vision is how you're conducting yourself as a human being right now. You know, you'll see it. It'll manifest right there in that moment in the altar. It'll manifest. And this will bring true love. Love for yourself, you know, gratitude for your teachers. Even if you had a dark teacher, you will be even more grateful because he gave you a profound gift, you know, of understanding. Sometimes we need to tough love, you know, but what we need to do is we're dealing with a lot of issues in the world, like pollutions of water, corrupt government. Why do we even need extra, like judging ourselves, judging the next person that gave you a hand because you didn't like how he moved the ball, because you thought that he was more perfect. I mean, he could know how to levitate the ball. You didn't think that he would be so aggressive and shatter the ball. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is, people need to be a little bit more compassionate about what's really going on. And they can't, though. You know, I'm asking for some to do something, but they can't. The reason that they can't is because they live in a box. Usually is their mind. They left their old box for a new box. It's called the occult mind. And so they get so stuck in this shit that they read and what they heard. But they forgot the most important thing is the practicality. You have to put that into practice. You got to go out into the world. A lot of people are doing too much internet and Facebook, and they forgot how to socialize. This is why I say, if you throw completely your old life just for this new life, you're going to have a lot of challenges along the way, as opposed to continue your life, fix things as you go. Try not to be so perfect, but keep diving deeper into spirituality. Keep getting deeper into the ritual. Keep exploring more. Go out on a vacation. Go meet new teachers, but then come back to your everyday life and the struggles that gives you. Because you will learn in real time, as opposed to learning a lesson that you could have learned today and carry it all with you like a bag of weight that's gonna pain in your shoulder, and then 3 years down the line it's gonna fully manifest and show you, hey, it's time that you let go of that bag because you've been carrying that issue, and here's why. And it'll reveal it like a roll of tape, you know, like a movie. And then you'll be like, and then you're gonna cry about every moment that you were judgmental and how you dissed every person that basically gave you a helping hand. And so yeah, I'll leave it at that for now.
Powerful. No, I've seen a lot of those very same things, you know, happening with me. Oh, I just covered up your face. Sorry about that. Yeah, I feel like those were some really good words. Now, that being said, like, what have you really been concentrating on and focusing on lately? Like, what's what do you mind sharing, like, maybe some of the most recent things that you've been learning on this path, like maybe some lessons from the fire or something like that?
Well, I guess through really learning my dreams and learning, like, really being present, you start to see an obvious pattern on where you're at in the medicine wheel or in the I Ching. Whatever tradition you gravitate to, what I've learned is to collide all of them because they all are the same, you know? I know that the lingo changes and certain maybe technical things change, but the overall layout of its art is the same as, like, the other side of the world, right? So I've learned to understand what part of the elements I'm facing with, you know? Sometimes we're in the initiation of water, sometimes we're in the initiation of fire. And then we'll keep going in these circles to transcend blocked energy, ancestral memory that we need to unlock within our DNA. And so in particular, I think in the last 2 years, 3 years, I was coming in and walking through the water initiation. And as you pay attention to that, your surroundings will reflect that, especially where you're at, the places you visit, the people around you, the scenarios that are going on. And a lot has to do with your emotions. You really can't rain on your rock, basically, if your waters are dirty. Just look at the clouds. If, for example, if you're a smoker, your clouds will be foggy, right? So meaning like your clarity will still have a lot of fog into it. And you have to clear that out. So people will say, well, you got to stop smoking. Yes and no. you know um, it's not about what you do and how you do it. It's about understanding why it is that is going on. I don't think like, say if I smoke, no one should tell me to stop smoking. Obviously, I know it's not healthy for my body. You get me? But some reason I have that relationship with that. And that itself is going to teach me, even if it teaches me with my life. So no one is here to tell the next person what is good and what is not. 'Cause that doesn't exist. After a level of maturity, it really doesn't exist. Everything is good. It's all served in the greater good. So in your progress and in going through these levels, right, and especially I will use the elements, they're going to humble you, because if you can't take advice from a human being, or you're going to take advice when something mystical manifests in your life. And then you're gonna put a little bit of your suit down. You'll tear away a piece of your mask, and then the ego will subsume. The ego eventually, not that it has to die, but it has to transmute. It has to allow what we call God, the soul, Great Spirit, be the one that actually makes the call, that allows to you to come out of your own way. So these forces, they bring with teachings, lessons. Sometimes they're awkward, sometimes they're wonderful, sometimes they're very scary. And so you can start to kind of pay your debt. Let's just say, and I use this term loosely. It's about these elements in your life. How are you treating the water within your own mind, within your body, in your household? Do you leave the faucet just running while you're brushing your teeth, or would you stop it? And so at that moment, you begin a personal relationship with these things. And if you ever come into a ceremony, you will encounter the vivid experience, right, with these elements. Because the portal's open, that moment, someone that had a license, in this case it's the medicine man, medicine woman, they have a license, they've been trained to do this. They open up the portal, we're all praying. At that moment, we're basically all there with God, like all the ears and eyes are paying attention. And everything that you do is going to be brought out like a book, it's gonna get analyzed, so you could begin doing this work without having to step into the ceremony by how would you do it in your own personal life. A lot of people, they call themselves conscious, but you just gotta see like what they do in their house, like how conscious are you. And then sometimes it's the tricky thing is because let's say you know what it is to be conscious, right? And then but you share your space with a bunch of people that so quote unquote are not conscious. And then all of a sudden it's the bickering and fighting, and now you become better than them, and you're telling your mother, oh, what you doing with the water? And like, did you know that that's really bad for you? And then this is what I'm talking about. We forget our humanity instantly. Like, where's the respect? Where's the honor? Where's the compassion? We completely just, and then we'll walk around thinking that we're so perfect. We're thinking that like we got it all together because we're awoke. We're awake. And so my take with all of this is that start with your father and mother. Start with your lineage, and you can talk to these things via the elements. Because this cockiness of the intellect, of being so powerful and wanting to know all the techniques and all all, how do you call it, like all the knowledge, so that you can be the one to introduce it. Most of these people, I will promise you that if there's a drought of water, they're gonna be the biggest cowards. You know, if if there's a situation where we gotta put up a fire, they won't be able to even get near it. So, see what I mean? Here's the relationship that we tend to have with life, and we miss it at every turn because it's always giving us an opportunity to really have a close relationship with it. And so, if we don't begin to start in our everyday life having a close relationship with nature, then when we come into these portal openings, right, these ceremonies, could be aggressive sometimes because you've done a lot of misbehavior, an unconscious misbehavior, but now you're pleading to be helped because you're having a hard time in your life, and forget how we treated these great teachers. I find the elements are the highest levels of teachers before you start to embark on higher teachings from higher planes. How are you going to sustain levels of 9 levels of sphere if you can't even know how to conduct yourself as a human being here? So I think it's very essential to bring it back to the body. That's why teachings like what our friend Seven brought, he taught me a lot, is to tackle the body first, purify the body. It's a very great step for anyone to start. But then it comes to the whole fight with the vegan not being vegan, alkaline not being alkaline, and it's like, then we go back to the bickering and bitching that this person is not, that's not the way, and then the other person is like too perfect, that is the way. And then again, we throw away the humanity. I'll tell you, without being human first, you're never going to get the heights of spirituality. You're never going to encounter more profoundness if you don't begin to hone in on your humanity and how you're conducting yourself. And really, that's where compassion actually starts to emerge and it starts to blossom within you, right, in your reality. I think it's very important. I think this is what the altar brings, what the medicines in an altar bring. Not the medicine in your house with your buddies and you're taking some medicine. No, it's not going to work like that. You need to awaken these beings and have these beings really teach you, and tend to have in an order form, in a safe way, under a teepee, inside a maloca, in a circle amongst family, loved ones, people that they're there in an honorable way. This is, to me, is the most, this is the best way to walk, and to start to learn from them. And in your own house or in your own life, is just be conscious and allow people to make mistakes. Allow people in your own perception not to be perfect, and that's okay. It's cool. You get me? Like, you could be their friend. Sometimes I watch things on like Facebook and be like, oh, I can't stand the people around me, and I need more people like me. But they're not seeing that all those people that they can't stand is all the shit that they're not fixing within themselves, And so it's just like, I'm not saying that I got to figure it out. I'm just saying is that engage life, like truly engage life, be part of life, stop alienating yourself like you're better, because you found some profound understanding, and then telling people what's right or wrong, because really that's all bullshit. Because I've seen the so-called perfect, let's say, eaters have a field day in a ceremony. You get me? The medicine really rocks them, because it's good that you find good things and you want to introduce it to people, but it's how are you introducing, and just because you got the knowledge, this doesn't mean you're available to share the knowledge. You still gotta work a lot on yourself, and like I went through a struggle. These things, because I became too perfect. You get me? I was like hardcore vegan and I have to be this way. But then there I am in the jungle and there's nothing else to eat but like fish and like yuca. And then I was like, oh my God, how am I going to eat the fish? But here is some indigenous people. Not only did they offer me food and shelter, but they even gave their table and they sat on the floor. And so I'm here with the plate struggling if whether I'm going to eat this fish or not. But then I'm also dealing with a lot of sinus issues and a lot of issues, and like health issues. So I was so called perfect because I did all the alchemy. I ate the best food. I had all the superfoods. But in the jungle, my body was breaking down. Like couldn't simulate the jungle. Like every mosquito, I was getting hives. So this is the whole thing about being so right. You're actually gonna become very vulnerable, and you're not going to be able to like keep it together out there with the elements. So there's something about being in the middle with the poison and with everything that's good, And how do you do that? I'm not here to tell a person how to do that. Plus, I don't want to tell people to go and do something bad that's not healthy for them. If in their reality they know that that's not best for their body, by all means. But some way, somehow, find a way to stay in the middle. How to be okay with the things that are not also great for us, with your friends and relationships, with yourself, and with all of this new finding and all of this new goodness that actually is beneficial to you and that you want to share it to people. Get me? Because you're not going to force people in the jungle to go meatless if all they have is hunting. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's not. You're just not, And so there's a lot of this stuff going on, just like with the Kabbalah. I mean, I've saw it in all things. Everybody was fighting. I think like 2-3 years ago, man, it was so much tension on the internet. It was just like everybody's just trying to pull what's right and what's the way, and like this is not the way. That person's wrong, and like at the end of the day, we're missing the biggest picture, and the biggest picture is how are we going to deal with ourselves? Because maybe you don't get along with me all the way, but we're still part of this world. All that is in this world is as much yours as is much mine. You get me?
Yeah.
And let's say your ancestors didn't get along with my ancestors. So what, though? That was like who knows when. And we're getting glimpses of that story now, like just little glimpses, and we're going to fight about that now. You get me? When we're like having bigger issues about what's going on right now.
Right, it's like if anything, we're here to resolve those issues, right? Like
exactly, but how do we begin that? If we can't even sometimes see. We're thinking we're doing something good, but we can't even see how much harm we're doing by this so-called action that we think that we're doing something good. It's because we haven't. There's more to tap into our own humanity, and that comes from really, really letting go and stop judging yourself. You get me? For example, if somebody likes dancing, you get me? Let's say they come from, let's say it's a woman, she was a stripper, but she went through her past, she transcends her life, but she really likes to expose herself. So at her high level of consciousness, is it wrong for her to dance with her clothes off because it's vulgar, that's not the way? You know what I mean? Who is to say that?
Yeah.
I mean, who is to say? But her being came like that. It's like that. That's part of her. Get me? But maybe she doesn't take off her clothes, but then she does belly dancing. You know what I mean? This is the kind of stuff that, and it's all across in so many different ways. You get me? Like, and you see this. Usually, the person that's judging the other person comes from the same world. They share the same relationship. The other person is just on the other side of the pole and telling the other how much they gotta do to change, how that's not right. And really, they forget that they either came from there, their ancestors came from there, or they're gonna be like that in the next life. See, everything you say about someone, you're either gonna do it, you have done it, or you will do it. Like it's always plays this key part, the past, present, and future. It always does this. Your form of how you're going to project onto another person always plays 3 parts. You can tell. If you're paying attention, you can tell all projections are showing 3 parts of the face, and so we can tune in on it. We can actually change it by choosing to say things differently. You get me? Maybe don't say nothing at all. If you really have nothing good to say, don't say shit. Say it. Deal with yourself, because right there, who's having the war? It's you. Everyone in the party is still having the party. Even the person you're about to judge has no idea about this that's going on inside you. But you can't stand that person and what they're doing. You get me? And so, really, who really needs the healing? Who really needs to be told what to do? Nobody. Not even yourself, because that's the problem. You're telling yourself so much shit. You're being the priest, hitting yourself with the lashes at every given point. And all this is happening within you, majority of the time. And so, like, what do you do with this? You know? None of what I said is giving people a solution. But I am pointing the obvious, you know?
And that, I think that was some of the next things I wanted to ask, is just maybe, like, what are the some of the things here and there along the path that you found to be really effective for you in dealing with some of this stuff? Just some practical things, you know, that maybe for someone out there that's like resonating a lot, and there's like, yeah, man, like, I see what you mean. Like, you know, could we maybe leave some people with maybe just a few things that you found to be really helpful?
Yeah, I think as you go out and discover outside of you and within you, also come back. Always come back from where you came from, and throw gems, you know? Leave a trail.
Mm-hmm.
Don't come like a teacher. Come as you wish, but don't come as a messiah preaching, but come back. Do come back. Mm-hmm. You get me? Always stay connected to your roots. Always stay connected to your past. Not in the way that you gotta revisit it and rehash things, but in the way that there's people back there that need it. You know, just like someone came in your path when you were down there, and boom, they probably just touched you with a verse or their essence, and you woke up, you know? And so all we could do is that, you know? We could do is bring our aura, bring us, and be it, but in a kind way, you get me?
Mm-hmm.
Like, for a long time, I couldn't come back to my neighborhoods and to those people around my neighborhoods. Now I can go and party with them, and you know, and I can see myself that I'm more human. Like, at that time when I was still coming back, I was like an alien, and you could tell like it would propel, like they would kind of like shun me away, like they don't know how to take me. They're like, oh, I know him from my past, and he's been a good friend, but I don't know, I can't vibe with him because he's like over here, and it's just like, I don't know, we can't relate. And then that all of that is because I'm hurt. I'm in that phase, you know? So like, I'm going learning and I'm healing, but I gotta come back. I'm going learning and I'm healing, but then at some point it levels out. Then at that level out, you become a shining light. You become, man, that day something tough happens in their life, it could be 10 years from now, they're gonna know, they're like, I know who to call. I know Louis has gone to some wild stuff, and you know, and I don't know how to relate with this. And maybe it's just a phone call, maybe it's just an email, maybe they don't want to fully open the door, but they come close, and just a few words you told them put them at their knees. You know, I had a friend that had some stuff happen to him while he was having sex. He didn't know, and I knew what was going on, and I told him, bro, let's talk. He didn't see me to this day, but whatever I shared probably helped him, and that's probably all I needed, you know. And this is somebody from my past, you know. But did I go and pull them from the reality? Did I go and preach to them about like everything that they need to know about the sexual alchemy? No, I did not. You know, I probably just gave them enough by my essence, you know. And I think that's what we all do, you know. But it's important to not completely, because I've seen people that are conscious, they come from very dark pasts with their family, wherever they were born. They don't want to go back there. They don't. They're very hurt. When you do get tougher and these wounds heal, you gotta go back. You gotta bring that mirror, because we're all mirrors. We gotta bring that mirror, you know. And if you don't go back, don't worry. Life is very intelligent, man. Life will paint a whole scenario, and it'll put all the archetypes that you didn't want to face, and it'll put you didn't want to go back to that, you'll come into another family, and you will see your aunts and your mothers and your fathers and the guy that you didn't want to talk to because he hurt you, and it'll come back because you gotta deal with it. You can't run from yourself. You're going to deal with it. And life is very intelligent. You're not going to be wiser than this mystery. This mystery will laugh at you if you think you're going to outsmart it. It will laugh at you. And so the best thing that I know is just learn how to be really a human being and bring your essence, bring all of it. If you were a graffiti artist, then go back to your graffiti people. You were a breakdancer, go back to your breakdance. If you were a thug, maybe you go and talk to your thugs and in this new essence, and maybe one day they put the gun down, you know? But they don't go put the gun down because you told them to put the gun down because it's better. But it's good. It's good to go and relate again, you know, every once in a while, you know?
Yeah.
Or, and like, if you don't fully go back to your past, then, or you along your way, man, do touch people that you know that need it, you know? Touch them. Just sometimes it's just be there. It's just sometimes just hear them out. Maybe you don't have to school them in anything, but just listen to them. And that's all a person needs just to heal sometimes, you know? That's what I'll say for that for now, you know?
Yeah, I think that's excellent. Thank you so much. You know, just on that note, I wanted to share a couple of things to give, you know, some examples like you were talking about with the dancing. You know, like for me, really, especially recently, like I came from a few years ago, I was obsessed with playing the drums. I played the drums since I was 9 years old. It was like my entire life for so many years. And then when I started to come on this path, I kind of like shunned it in the sense of because I looked at myself and I looked at this knowledge and waking up and I was like, well, you know, where is playing music going to like actually, how am I going to help wake people up? Or like, I can't make the most impact by doing that, you know? And so I like get into all of this knowledge and stuff like that. And now a few years later, Spirit's coming back and it's pushing me to learn to get back into playing instruments, you know, whether it's to bring songs to ceremony or just to be able to connect and socialize, express myself, express my soul and what I've learned through songs and things like that, you know. So it's like that same type of thing. Or, you know, it's like maybe someone in the past they used to be dealing drugs, and then they're taking that and they're switching that into you know, growing a lot of herbs in an herb garden, and then they're turning these into some tinctures and they're helping people that way. I feel like we can look at some of these places where we come from and almost intentionally look at them and say, okay, like I used to be really into that. How could I take that and turn it into a more conscious, a more evolved, a more spiritual version of myself, rather than just rejecting it totally and thinking that it's useless, because that's going to create another monster and a demon. You know, we push that down, and what will happen is it starts creeping out and showing its face through these other ways, you know. So yeah, I just wanted to add my own little vision on some of that stuff. I think now we're approaching around an hour and a half or so. I don't have the exact time we started, but you know, if there's anything else maybe you want to add, if not, we can just wrap it up. And you know, I'll just say thank you so much for connecting, and I'm excited. I hope maybe we can do this again. I'll brainstorm on some more things, and we'll talk and figure out maybe something else we can do. And I know you also said that you're going to be connecting me with some interesting elders and other path walkers as well. So I'm really looking forward to this.
I have some relations that I mentioned if they would come and speak on certain things, and I guess everything will come in its right time. But yes, the answer is that they're open, and a lot of people do want to explain further, because it's important to help each other out through all of these initiations. I mean, life in itself is an initiation, but we all all I want is that people to be their best and to walk in beauty, you know.
Mhm.
And if we could help those that are ready at whatever level they're at, we'll help them. I'm truly I'm in a place where I really want to engage with certain people that have further along the path with certain things, especially community building. And then on let's say I've had a couple of people that are like, oh, I want you to teach me this and that. I'm not really here to teach anybody, but I do within time, you know, with the right place and the right setting. I would love to partake on people that want to learn certain, let's say, techniques and things that can help them in their life, you know.
Sure.
And so we're building on that. Like you and I, we talk about these things. So look out for further retreats, some community building classes, workshops. I'm getting ready to engage more towards that for a very long time now. Engaging those things, but I feel that the spirit it's ready. It's ready. It wants to do that, and it'll all show up in its due time, you know. So we could look forward to that. If anybody else wants to pitch you ideas on topics that I can answer, we can make another show, or we could start bringing the proper people that can answer these things. You know, people that I mean more advanced or they walk further on certain paths that can bring a lot of light. It'll be nice to get some elders. It's a little tricky because they're very busy at times, especially if they're road woman, you know. But we're gonna definitely start building these bridges because that's what I feel that we all need. We just have to have more bridges and a lot of light throughout these bridges to shine the way, you know, so that people can walk through it in their own terms, on their own way, you know, without having to be imposed upon their belief or their walk, you know.
Sure.
This is the age to embrace all walks, but know that we're not, we could be an advanced being, we could be so powerful, but hey, that doesn't matter. You came here to be a human. And so we just try to see how we can work together so that we can enjoy this world, you know,
Mhm.
and that we can leave it better than we found it, you know.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right, so that concludes our episode of A Fire from Within today. Thank you so much, Luis Diaz, for tuning in with us and for sharing so much, you know, honest and real wisdom and knowledge with us. It was excellent, and you know, until next time, I hope you all enjoyed it out there, and I hope you tune in again soon.